Let's go to one of the former ministers now, a former Howard government minister, Peter McGauran. He's now senior advisor at Bondi Partners. And Hawker Britain director Emma Webster. Thanks for being here, both of you. What a big few days. And Peter, I mentioned your role in the Howard government. You're also a former diplomat to the United States. It's a country you know well. What are the implications now for the US and for the rest of this campaign?
Well, politically, Kieran, I would say it guarantees that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States, and you just have to wait for the Republican convention starting in the next 24 hours to see the canonisation, the emotion. They will exploit it to the hilt. And I think it guarantees Joe Biden will be the Democrat candidate. He has, from the Democrat point of view, handled himself well. He has had a circuit breaker of the criticisms of his candidacy. I think he put out a very tepid statement initially, but to the Democrats, that was all that was required. Socially, I'm sorry, Kieran, I don't believe anything's going to change. There'll be howls of outrage, there'll be expressions of horror, there'll be calls for unity and civility in politics. The Americans will take it in their stride. They've been through so many mass killings. And remember, it was only 12 years ago that 20 infants were killed at Sandy Hook.
Exactly.
At Sandy Hook by an AR-15 and by a 20-year-old, and nothing happened then. So nothing's going to happen now.
No. Yeah, it's a good point. If Sandy Hook wasn't enough to shake that country out of the embrace of guns, nothing would. Emma Webster, it's also, I think Peter's touching on this as well, a country with a very long history when it comes to political violence over hundreds of years.
Well, that's right. And I think whenever you see an incident like this happen overseas, it makes you incredibly grateful for the actions that the Howard government took nearly 30 years ago. It makes you really proud to live in Australia, but by no means does it protect us, I think, from political violence. When you see events like what happened to Labor MP Joe Cox in the UK, where they have fairly stringent gun laws themselves. But just to echo what Peter said in regards to Trump and the campaign, I think it's game, set and match. I mean, perhaps I've been watching too much Wimbledon, but I think that's where this is headed now. Game,
set and match for Donald Trump. Emma, it's interesting you say that, and Peter as well on a unity ticket, that when you both made that point, the image that is in my mind is what I think is going to be that iconic image, Emma, of the fist aloft and the defiant former president with his face splattered in blood.
Well, that's right. It actually reminded me of the Delacroix painting of the French Revolution with Lady Liberty, the flag flying behind him. I don't think an artist could come up with something as iconic as that moment. And for Trump, who has run a campaign on strength, to be shot and literally get up and fist pump, you couldn't have a better sort of reaction to that. And then when you look at that compared to Biden, who is probably the furthest thing from that at the moment, I think what is an absolute tragedy is in many ways a win for Trump.
Yeah, indeed. I think the comparison is so potent right now, Peter McGauran. As much as Joe Biden tries to reset, he does look frail. Democratic officials, strategists are worried. I guess there's still a chance that they have a throw at the stumps and just say, look, we've got to try something. We've got to try something because of everything that we've been saying to this point, and about the fact that Trump is now prohibitive in terms of his favouritism. Peter?
They're going to run out of time, Kieran. The Democrat convention is, 4 weeks away, 5 weeks away? And in the meantime, Biden is presenting as the healer-in-chief of the nation inadequately, in my view. And if I hear this phrase, violence has no place in America, or violence has no place in Australia, can we do away with the banalities and just get to the heart of the matters and speak from deep within you? So I think Biden will maintain his position as a presumptive nominee.
Yeah, and the idea that the US doesn't... when Joe Biden did say this morning, Peter, in the last couple of hours, that it's not who they are, unfortunately, it is what the US is. If you look at the amount of times there have been assassination attempts, or how many presidents have been shot, or the gun culture, Peter McGauran.
Look, Kieran, I picked up on that too. And some speechwriters told him to put that up on the teleprompter. It's not who we are. Of course it's who they are. There's mass shootings every week. Now, you've got to take the good with the bad of America. There's so much good that we could list, but there's the drugs, there's the homelessness, there's the poverty, there's the gutted middle class. But then I can talk about its virtues. I'm a great supporter of America. In many ways, I love Americans. But let's be clear-eyed and realistic about how we deal with them. There are many aspects of their society, as Emma touched on, that makes you relieved as well as proud to be an Australian.
Let's wrap it there. Thank you both, Emma and Peter.